Hello, Alex here, and welcome back to the Beaglington review. And this time I have this to review. It's the Hornby R30317 040 Midland and Great Northern locomotive number 100. This box is coming, but it does have the Hornby label on the outside. So let's get it over to the desk, open it up, and have a look. Yes, hello and welcome back to the Beaglington review, and here we have the R30317 040 locomotive Midland and Great Northern number 100. And I've been quite excited to get this because normally I wouldn't buy a brand new 040 locomotive from the railroad range because they're actually fairly expensive for what they are. I did get the Purple Percy, as we call it, for Christmas last year with my friend Larry, but this is something that I got with birthday money from my dad, and the livery is partly the reason behind that, but I'll explain that later because I want to get this open. So I bought this from the New Railway Modeller's shop, and it cost, well, let's say nearly £50, which, put it this way, in 2006 could buy you the train set that this engine came in, so that's inflation and things for you. But I'm really excited to see the livery. Before I open it, I should explain that the Midland and Great Northern Railway had a line from Melton Constable, going out in like 4 different areas from there, but mainly had a rather nice branch to Cromer via Holt, Weybourne, and Sheringham, and part of that line that is left is the North Norfolk Railway. It's a preserved railway. So I have a book here, a souvenir booklet and guide, which I got, I think, at the Mid-Suffolk Light Railways shop a long time ago. I don't know if it has any other pictures of the inside. It does say Richard Austin, Sheringham Station, 22nd of June 1993, when they sent it their collection, and then obviously it was given to the second-hand book section of the Mid-Suffolk Light Railway. But as you can see, that's got stuff to do with the line. But this is the Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway livery. It was a joint company between the Midland and the Great Northern, who took over lines trying to get to Blakeney and some other places. So that's the livery. That's roughly what this locomotive is aiming for livery-wise. So I also have on my computer, which I'll show you just now before opening this, what Hornby were expecting it to look like at first from their their first image they released, and then their next image that they released, and then we'll get to opening it. So yes, that's what it was supposed to look like. We'll now find out whether it does. And I can already see that it's a nice bright sort of orange ochre colour. And you've probably been waiting for me to open the thing now for nearly 5 minutes. But I just wanted to explain that, and here we go. Wow, look at that. I gotta get that out of the box and have a look. So yes, the reason why I wanted this is because of the livery and the association with the North Norfolk Railway, because it's somewhere where I have a lot of memories for going with my family, and when we go over to England we go there, and it's just something that's associated with my childhood and, you know, with my family. So I quite like that. So I'm going to open it up now. This is there you go again, the label again. So I actually had 2 labels. I've not seen it with the label on the box like that before on the outer packaging. And we'll open this up. So, interestingly, I was expecting this to be polystyrene, but there's actually a cardboard tray, which is so much better for the environment, I imagine. There's some sort of foam blocks here to keep it in place. So hopefully the locomotive is in one piece. And we've got here the instructions for the 040 locomotive HP motor, and that's just your standard instructions, so I'm not really going to look at that too much because I'm really interested in this. So we've got this card packaging now in the original style railroad box, and there's some little detail things. There's your brake vacuum pipes and driver and fireman to paint up and fit, except that you cannot fit them to the D-tank, as they call it, because it doesn't have a footplate, or it's never had a footplate as long as I've known. So quite how you're supposed to fit the men into the cab. Well, let's see if we can get this out. There's no hole in the back, so I just have to kind of ease it out. I don't want to damage the paintwork. Let me take off this plastic veil. And there we have it. So, I was going to ask the question, is this the best livery that this locomotive has been in? And I was expecting it to be a little more vibrant, a little more glossy perhaps, and I was expecting lining on the boiler bands. I was expecting this, at least the yellow, the straw yellow or the black to go over the boiler bands would make it look interesting. However, it is a very nice colour, and they have got the lining pretty close to that tank engine at least. So the close-up now that I will give you should hopefully show the crest on the side of the tank. There you go. You can see the colours now. There's red and blue and gold, and it's very shiny. The writing is applied very well. It's got lovely shading to it. So actually, in terms of is this one of the best liveries that this model has been in, I'd say yes, quite possibly. There's a lovely shine. Even the number is nice and shiny, and the lining is nice and shiny. So overall, you know, I can't complain about the actual application of delivery, and the writing is actually very nice. The wheels, the plastic is not quite the same shade, but obviously that's because it's made out of a different plastic, I assume. It's slightly a touch more beige, but the livery is fine. I don't see any problems with it. As you can see, the locomotive does have a sort of bunker, which has a very thin attempt at some coal detailing, which has not been painted. So it just looks a bit chewed. But overall, it's looking pretty good livery-wise. So I do have another here, which I think is also a contender for the best livery for this locomotive class. Fictional livery, mind, because for this class, because they have done two liveries, King George, is it? King George V, which was green, I think, and Queen Mary, which was red. But I'll explain more about those in a minute as well. But this is the Mid-Suffolk Light Railway livery, so it's another East Anglian livery. And it has lovely, simple yellow lining, but lovely shaded lettering. And the number plate actually says on this one, number 4, Mid-Suffolk Light Railway. The Mid-Suffolk Light Railway only had 3 locomotives originally, so it kind of works in a number series. That was from a very well put together train set, which I don't think Hornby had permission to use delivery of from the Society. Whether that's the case, whether they have permission to use the Midland and Great Northern livery, or whether they need it, I have no idea. As you can see in this one, I've fitted a terrier cab on the inside with detailing. So I have had people fitted in there in the past. There is no way to fit a driver and fireman inside this cab because there's no floor. So, the prototype, the Dowlais D tank, as we refer to it, is an 040 that looks sort of like this, but much shorter. And the first one, King George V, was built in 1907. And in 1909, Queen Mary was made, but they weren't named officially until 1912. And then there were, at Dowlais Iron Works, 2 larger tank engines, I think, or maybe 3, but there were definitely 2 that looked exactly the same as this, perhaps with a slightly longer boiler, which, if this was an 060, it would look more convincing. And they were Sandyford and Pant. And I actually converted this with a Terrier chassis at one point in its life. I had to cut away some of the tanks to being an 060 to look like those. Whereas These 040s just look like the King George, except the firebox is probably too long. So overall, it doesn't match the prototype completely, but as a little industrial shunter type locomotive, it's it can be at home on any railway. So the livery application is good. It's got a nice sheen to the black as usual, and the wheels are nice and clean. This one has been used for 17 years, and you can see the difference in the wheels. So we'll have to see now how well this one does in terms of its running quality. They look like they still have more or less the same motor. I wouldn't see Hornby putting too much effort into making the chassis any better, because it's a £50 locomotive that probably cost them a pittance. The most expensive thing has probably been the livery application, which thankfully has been done fairly well. So I'm going to put this on the railway now, because we waffled on for a bit. And it's actually quite interesting, because I've been reading, I just finished a book yesterday or the day before, the Melton Constable to Cromer branch about the Midland and Great Northern Railway. So it's definitely one for me. But I'm going to go put it on the railway, going to see how it runs, do some shunting, see how much I can pull, and then I'll let you know my final thoughts. Well, there she is, down at the track at the back of Beaglington-On-Sea, and I've got her on the middle line on the HM2000. So I'm going to apply power now and see how well it runs. So I'm going to slowly start, you'll hear the click. Right, just humming. A little bit of movement there. It's got a bit of a wiggle to it. But that was a nice slow pull away there. So there is a point where it first starts to move and it sort of does a little bit of a wiggle. And then once it gets past that, it's a bit smoother. But that is pretty controlled for Hornby's basic 040. I'll run it past a bit faster now. I have to say, it's making some funny noises though. So, whirring and grinding noises. It's almost like the body isn't on quite right, which might have something to do with the wiggle. Yeah, so this now is, that's 50% speed going past, and this is 100%. So it's not quite the pocket rocket that it used to be, and it's more controlled, so that's something. But I can't quite figure out, there's some sort of lubricant on the oil or whatever on this wheel, white blob. Wipe that off. Well, it seems to be fixed in place, but I can't understand why it's all wobbling about and making so much noise, other than, you know, it's a railroad model. But it just sounds unusual. It sounds a bit like a diesel. Right, so I'm going to leave this running for a few minutes, and then we'll try to do a bit of a points test with it and some coupling up. mean, she does look fantastic, but the noises out of it, like... Right, we're going to stop that now in the station. There we are. And then I'm going to run it back here, and I'm going to see how it does on the points and do a little bit of shunting. And then we can see, I suppose, how well it performs pulling things. So, right, you best come around the back and see how the shunting goes and the points test. Right, it's time for the infamous Beaglington points test. These atrocious points that lead to the brewery sidings. So I need to... yeah, there we go. So using the HM2000 for this. I'll test it out on the old Hornby red knob controller once all the other stuff's done, I suppose. Oh yeah. Just as expected. Perfectly fine through there. It's got a short wheelbase and it runs fairly smooth. That way. And we'll pass it that way into the brewery sidings and back out again. Right, so I suppose we should try coupling up to a few things. This should really be a piece of cake because obviously this is a model that has been around for the last... when did it come out? 80s, maybe? I don't think it was 70s, it must have been the 80s. So you're looking at least more than 3 decades, maybe nearly 4. So it's been around for a long time, so it should work perfectly fine. So we're going to start with something local to the area that this would have worked, I suppose. If it was actually on the Midland and Great Northern, which is a coalman's wagon of Norwich. So it's got a normal tension lock coupler and it should couple up easily. Yep, no surprises there, obviously. It's kind of a bit of a pointless test. Do I have anything here with a finer coupling than that? Well, I do, in fact, have something. I have the latest Sam's Trains wagon. This is the resin printed one I reviewed last time, which has a Sam's Trains narrow tension lock coupler. And here we go, we have a train there. Just try shunt that. We'll go straight in first. No trouble there. And oh, it's stalled on the points. That's those points that were that being rubbish, that's what it is. And we'll go into the siding now and see. Oh yeah, no trouble, even with the narrow tension locks there. And we'll just try it with something that has a normal tension lock, but a longer wheelbase. So I've got a Dennerby wagon, which is a bit more from the Northern, I'd say. But remember, this is the Midland and Great Northern, and while their line was in, like, let's just say more towards East Anglia, that's their company name. So something more northern probably makes more sense. Oops. One of the wagons has come off. Obviously not a fan of the Dennerby wagon. The other wagons. Right. Here we go, into the S. Propelling, fine. Yeah. No trouble there. I tried and tested on. So I'll just pop it now back on the middle line. It's a very lightweight model, as you'd expect from a simple lightweight chassis, and I mean the heaviest thing in it is probably the motor. We're going to see now how it performs on old Hornby red knob controller. So let's see, that's the middle line. I want to plug that into the controller. Yeah. So we'll pass now at 50% speed. Still fairly smooth, but actually sounded even worse on this controller. And then top speed. The top speed is definitely higher on this controller, but I'm never going to be running it like that anyways. and I'll be running it on the HM2000. So I'm going to put that now, I think, on the outside line, because it'll have to try and get over the double points at the other side, where the two points are between the engine shed and the goods siding, and we'll see now whether it goes around fine. So I'm going to turn it to face the other way and couple it up to a sort of East Anglian goods train. Right, so I think we have about 13 wagons here and a brake van, and it should probably just pull away fairly easily with this train. So I'm going to put that controller there, I think. Yeah, and I'm going to put that one there, and the little line back to there. Right, so here we go. 13 wagons. Easy. Nice, smooth pull away. Put it up to 50% speed and you'll see it coming through again. So it's about 50% speed. It's a nice pace. Looks good. It's not too rushed because it's a shunter. Here it comes now. Nice. That seems alright. I'm going to add a couple more things to it and see whether it can still pull them at that speed. So I've now added 6 more things to it. They're 4-wheel coaches, long wheelbase. Not the best wheels probably, some of them, these ones. And we'll just see whether it can pull away. It's starting on a curve as well. It's level. See, that's too much, but we can see now. Which is going to be this is the trouble with the locomotive being so light. So it's finding a bit of a struggle there with those. And so I would say that if you're running this with lots of old wagons with plastic wheels, there's going to be a lot of drag there, and it's going to struggle because it's fairly light. So for instance, this coach here, this one has plastic wheels on it, and there's a longer wheelbase, and these have more weight to them. So with that said, I'm going to film a little bit of that goods train going around, and then I'm going to give it a couple of coaches and let it go around and run some of the other D-tanks that I have as well. So here we have the 040 in front of the white background, just to help make that livery pop just a bit more. And like I said, I was kind of expecting the boiler bands to have been coloured. I thought it would have been nice. It would probably look quite nice if that sort of safety valve thing on the top was also kind of golden or something like that. Would be quite cool. But as it goes as a livery, I still think it's pretty cool. It's sort of a very unusual livery to pick for, number one, a sort of industrial tank, but also a pre-grouping one, because obviously we've seen SECR stuff in the railway range and LBSC stuff. So to pick something from East Anglia, at least, is quite nice. And there's plenty of Eastern region rolling stock that you can use with it. It would be nice if we have more sort of M&GN stuff, maybe. I mean, I know that Buckman did an M&GN wagon, was it for the North Norfolk Railway? I don't know about brake vans or anything like that. It would be a bit beyond me. Hornby did do a Great Eastern tank that I have, but it's in a green livery, and it's the X-Thomas one that I also have an LBSC livery. So yeah, it's nice to see these little tank engines in different liveries, but at the same time, the cost of this is ridiculous for what it is. And I know that those are the times that we're living in now, model railway wise, with the cost of things. And you know, it's just a shame that it is so expensive. Nonetheless, though, I still think it looks really nice. So for a last bit of running, I've got her down on the track with a couple of her classmates. Over there is the MSLR number 4 and Lionworks Collieries number 1, and these two I've had pretty much for nearly the same amount of time, which is going back a number of years now. Like I said, this one came out and set in 2006. I think I've had this one since about 2006, 2007, maybe around that time, maybe 2005, I'm not sure. I know that it was in the range, Hornby's range, around 2005 to 2007. So this is a fairly plain livery. This is a slightly more complex livery, and this one is a very unusual livery. And they have been in other liveries as well. There has been BR Blue. Yeah, that's BR Early Blue, that is. And there has been the bright yellow Station Master 1. And bright red as well. There's been bright green, it was, British Railways number 9. There was a lovely blue one with was a white or yellow lining that was in the Caledonian local set with 3 lovely blue 4-wheel coaches with yellow lining. I had that once upon a time. I had a gorgeous green one, which was Eddie Stobart from the Eddie Stobart set. There was the Hornby Collectors Club had a Southern black one. They had a Southern malachite green one. They did a fairly plain one with MR on the side of it. I think that was 2011. Was it? So basically, it's something that Hornby can easily turn out and put into any old livery, as they've done in the railroad range. Someone actually went, let's put it in a proper livery of a real company, something that hasn't been done, ready to run in 00. And whoever chose this livery, personally, I'd like to offer my gratitude, because I think it looks really cool, and you know, it's nice to have a Midland and Great Northern locomotive. Even if it's completely unrealistic, it's still cool. And so I've put it together with these coaches, which I normally run with Stepney, which are my teak 4-wheelers. Lionworks Collieries is on a sort of coal train, and the MSLR one is on 5 of the Mid-Suffolk Light Railway liveried 4-wheelers. So we'll get these running, and then I'll tell you what I think. Some more. Like I said, the wheels on these are a bit dirty, but they should work alright. Oh well, he's stopped at the station. That's remarkable, the way that those two have stopped with their dirty old wheels and their worn out motors. That one stopped in the station, like. Here's the brand new one. Hopefully I'll have an equally long life. With dirty wheels, it stopped on the insult frog. There we go. Up again. We're here now and we'll see the new number 100 come past. Yes, that was the Hornby R30317 040 locomotive, Midland and Great Northern, number 100, the railroad D-tank. And I'll have to make sure I don't rub off the lovely lining and the crest. So, conclusions. Well, livery, I wanted more, but, you know, as a railroad model, it's still pretty good. You know, it's a nice model, the livery is applied well, the shading and the shiny golden lettering is brilliant, so you can't really ask for much more than that, except for that lining would have been nice. In terms of the model itself, it's basic, it's the same generic chassis, it's a body that's been around for a long time. The price is too much. Really, realistically, it's unrealistic. It's too much to ask people to pay for something that's this simple. And I can't imagine that unless you've got a lot of people who have a lot of money who want to buy a present for someone, or someone who really wants something that's in Midland and Great Northern livery, which, let's face it, probably isn't very high when you're looking at the number of people that will buy the 60 millionth version of the Flying Scotsman that you released. That being said, I bought it because I wanted it. So there is a level of going, is something that shouldn't be worth what it is worth it because you want it, and to what degree that is, and that's down to your own spending power. Can I recommend it? It's a little bit unusually noisy, which my other D-tanks don't sound like. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. It looks good, it works, it's smooth, it couples fine, it still goes through the points fine after all these years. The design is the same, so yes, I can recommend it. If you want it, it's not going to let you down. Well, so far as we've seen so far, like, you know. But that being said, try to find it cheaper than the RRP or whatever, because it's ridiculous the price that's being charged. When was it, like 10 years ago, maybe, even still? I mean, you can pick up a Christmas train set which has a locomotive, track, controller and wagon some places for £50, maybe a little bit more than that, whereas you can only get the 1040 in the railroad range for the same money. So like I say, that's really the main issue that I have with it, is just the price, because other than that, it's a lovely tank engine. And it looks very good with the teaks that I was running it with. It looks good with the local rolling stock that will be local to the livery, not specifically the prototype. But yeah, my overall conclusion is that it's the same generic Hornby 040, but in a nice livery. So I hope that helps you, and you've had a nice look at this. It will appear in my other videos because I actually really like it. Do I feel like I've spent too much money on it? Yes, but it's alright because it was birthday money, so there you go. So until next time, it's goodbye from me on the Beaglington Review, and you've been a wonderful audience. Sorry if this episode was a little bit waffly, but I'm just trying to, talk more. Sorry, there's lots of flies around because of my tomato plants. But yeah, overall, we'll be back again with another review soon of that coach that I showed a while back. I really am too casual a reviewer, I think. So yes, anyway, thank you for tuning into the Beaglington Review, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget, you can like, share, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends, and just enjoy. Stick me on in the background while you're cooking, something like that. Just, get to see these nice trains and decide for yourself whether you should buy one or not. But if more people do buy things in Midland and Great Northern Livery, maybe we'll get some locomotives in Midland and Great Northern Livery, which would be quite cool. But until next time, I've been Alex, and goodbye. Oh, and there's that subscribe bubble and play listening. But I'm off now to run some more trains. So, ta-ra!